Hi, I'm Zanon Hunt with Z Construction LLC. Today we're going to be installing some laminate floor. A couple things you're going to need when installing your laminate floor are a pry bar, a door jamb saw, regular hammer just for in case you need it. Here's a tapping block, tape measure, a pull bar. There's another spare one just for you pulling tack strip up. And a mallet is nice to have on the job as well. A brad nailer, a miter saw, air compressor, and a table saw. Now there are other tools that you can use when installing floors. I do this for a living, so I have a lot of other, stuff I do tricks with too, and we'll explain that along the way. If you're going to do this for a living, maybe you pick those up along the way. But that's basically what you need to get started. We've already pulled the tack strip and the carpet and got the floor all prepped. That way there's no time wasting, but that is something you're going to have to do before if you do have carpet in your rooms. So we're going to head on upstairs and take a look at the laminate, and I believe my helper Kelly is up there getting started now, and we'll come back down and show you how to get stuff cut and how we get started. All right, this is our floor that we're going to be installing on. The subfloor is pretty flat. It looks great. And we're going to be going on into here. We'll be putting a transition here, and we'll show you how to install that later. We'll also be putting one right here because she's not sure what she wants in her bathroom in there. And of course, we're doing this room in here too. So we're going to go down and get some starter pieces cut and show you how we get started on that. So here's what we do is we cut a couple starters. I usually like to start with about 5 of them. And what you want to do is make sure that your end of one board is at least 8 to 10 inches away from the next board you're going to lay. That's typically the rule with laying laminate floor. If you're not really sure, take the width of the board. A little bit wider would be sufficient, but 8 to 10 inches is generally what you want to go with, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see these have the female part of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the ones with the groove upstairs, and these will be our starters. All right, I'll check back with you. We're back. As I said, I got a scrap piece of wood downstairs, or a laminate, as you say. And this is what I'm going to use to check and see if I need to cut my door jambs down here, because you don't want to run your laminate around the door jambs. You actually want it to go under. That makes it very, very much attractive. Alright, so we're going to slide this up here like this. And it fits perfectly under there. I think there was a laminate up here before, and it probably was the same mill, which means it was the same thickness. So we got lucky on this, not having to cut door jambs. Now, if you would have had to cut your door jambs, which means they went lower and your wood was butting against it and you couldn't get under, this is a hand jam saw. And what you would want to do is get you a scrap piece like this and cut it like this all the way around so that your wood will slide up underneath that. Now, over here, come with me, Kelly. If you do this for a living, they do have things to make it faster. If you have a house that has a lot of jams that you can cut, that could take all day using a saw like that. So we have this right here. This is called a jam saw too. And it just kind of sits down flat on the floor. It's adjustable for whatever kind of wood, if you're doing 3/4, laminate, whatever. And you just come in through the door casing like this over here. And you just cut it and you go all the way around it just like that, and you're off to the next one. It saves a lot of time. Alright, so that's it for the door jambs. We're going to go ahead and get started over here with our starter pieces, and I'm going to let Kelly put a couple of those together and show you how easy it is. Okay, I've got some boards laying here, and this is something I wanted to show you of an example of what not to do. There's a full board right here. And there's a full board right here. And then remember the starters that I cut downstairs? I've got them stacked up right here in what we call a stair step. Now, if you're just starting doing this, if you're not familiar with it, that's something that is real easy to do. It's not exactly attractive, and that's a pattern you're going for, and you need to make sure you're doing it all the way through the whole floor. So what we like to do is stagger these things around. You got a long one right there. We'll start with a short one. Now, you can see how that's staggered pretty good. And then what you do is when you get down to the end, and we'll show you, you'll turn one around backwards and mark it. And when you cut it, you'll bring the cut-off piece back over here and use it as a starter. So we're ready to get started here. Kelly opted to be the cameraman, and while I demonstrated how to get started on this floor. We have our long pieces that we're going to get started with. Now, all laminates lay a different way. Some of it just drops in and locks up. Some of them clicks in. Some of them you have to put it in an angle. Generally, the most ones I do, you have to tip up at an angle like this. So what we do is we take the male end and we go into the female end. There's a tongue and groove. I'm going to lift it up at about a 40-degree angle, and then we're going to drop it down like that right there. I got a mallet here. That's what I like to use just to make sure they're tight together. And now, like I said, you want to start over here. Oh, and by the way, I've got it pushed off the wall quite a bit, as it would be when I'm normally installing, because up against the wall, trust me, it's a pain in the butt. I mean, if you have a helper, you can always just shove it back. Alright, so we got our first two boards laid there. Got my first starter piece right here. It's going to be tipped up at a 40-degree angle as well. There. Now, this is the part that's going to take a little bit of practice and getting used to, but what you want to do is you're going to want to put the male end in and tip it up at your 40-degree angle and make sure it's tight. You want it tight right here when you're getting started. Then you'll put your knees right here and you'll snatch this in and lock it in. Make sure it's all the way in. Now, there's a tapping block. There's a tapping block method you could use. You take the tapping block right here. Now, it's not a beater block, so don't beat this because you could damage your wood. But you just want to tap it so that it locks in and that it lays down flat. As you can see, it's laying down flat and it's locked in. Now, as I go along and I get further down, I just basically use the hammer to tap it like that. I don't want to beat it hard because I don't want to dent the wood. Of course, I'll go to my next piece. Like I told you, we're wanting to stay at least a board width away on our next one. Just like that. Now, one more thing before we get started, because that's pretty much typically the way it's going to go. You want to leave about 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch away from the wall right here for expansion. And don't worry about that gap, because quarter round will come back later and cover that crack up. And that goes for all the way around the perimeter. You want to leave that expansion gap. And that's pretty much how you lay laminate. If I come to anything else that's weird, I'll definitely discuss that with you. And if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll be glad to come in and answer those questions. But right now, we're going to go ahead and get started laying this, and when we get ready to shove it back, we'll show you what we're talking about, how we got it out here and how we shoved it back. But talk to you later. Alright, as you can see, we've left our expansion gap down here at this end. This is our starter side. It's looking pretty good over there. Miss Kelly is down at this end, and she's going to show you how to do the end cut. Kelly?
Turn the board around backwards, not the same way this board is. Put it up against the baseboard.
See that? She's turned the board backwards. Now she's marking it. She's put an X on this side right here. This is the side we need right here. See, she's turned it around backwards and butted it against there to make a perfect length board. So when you turn it around and stick it in there, you'll still have your expansion gap down here. Now this other piece, as I said earlier, we'll take that and we'll move it right down there and use that as a starter. And that's pretty much how you do the whole floor. Okay, Kelly has started running the cord around, as you can see. This is what you use the miter saw for. She's got an outside corner there, another outside corner there, and an inside corner there. Two-piecing it. The cord around's not long enough. She usually comes in and starts the cord around for me as I keep laying floor, and then I come back and do the transitions while she's puttying and cleaning up.
Quarter round. Fits in nice. Shoot into the baseboard, not the floor.
As Kelly indicated, she is using 2-inch nails, and she is shooting into the baseboard, not into the floor, because we don't want to stop the floor from moving. It needs to have an expansion, as we discussed before. She's going ahead and putty in those holes that she just put in there. She doesn't have to do that later, come back. Good thing to do. This one here is quite the difficult cut. What we're going to want to do is measure from here to here. It looks like we're at 4 inches. Then we'll want to measure from here to here. And it looks like we're going to be at 3 3/8. That's about right there. Alright, so I'll measure 3 3/8 right here. Alright, and I'll run over with 4 inches there. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm making it so I have like a right angle. So I want to come down like this. This will be my cutoff right here. And then I'll come back about 2.5 inches right here and just make that slide angle. That's how you get that cut right there. This line will continue. I'll cut that, cut it to length, and we'll install it.
Starting on the other wall this time. Why you want to do that?
Alright, and your final step when it comes to the walls is to install your cord round. That's what Kelly's doing now. You see she's done a real good job, nice looking miters. And she's just about done. I believe that might be her last piece right there. And then here we go is the floor. We'll come back and get some more video when it's all done. The doors are back up and the transition drawings and furniture is back in place. But right now, we're calling this room complete, minus transitions. Here's a closet. We're now started in here. As you can see, we started our first rows. We started in the same way. And now we've got my floor laid out here where I can just blow and go. Again, when you get to the ends, remember you'll turn your board around backwards, mark it, cut it, and use the cutoff as your starter down there. In the beginning, we said we gave you all the tools that you were going to need in order to do the install. This is a pull bar. We didn't show you in the other room how it works, but we are on the last row now. We've already ripped our boards down to be the perfect width for the last row. This is what a pull bar is for. You can't really hit it with a tapping block on the other side, so you kind of stick this behind the wall there, and there's a little spot back here where you would tap it in, and you can see it just locks down just like if you was hitting it with the tapping block from that side. That's what we're going to do to finish the rest of this out right here, and then we're going to call it a day.